Hey.
Hey. What you doing?
I was gonna start the video. Alright, what's up guys? Today we're doing a lot of work on the RX-7, obviously. Water pump coolant temp sensor, that's what we're doing right now. Then we're gonna do exhaust, maybe transmission, a new belt. Basically a lot of preventative stuff. We're probably not gonna be making a whole ton of power. We're gonna add some power with the exhaust. But this video is mainly going to be preventative maintenance, which is good, so we can keep the RX-7 running for longer. So we're going to start off with the coolant temp sensor, which requires pulling the water pump off. Alright, so upon further inspection while editing the video, I realized that I didn't really explain the coolant sensor properly. So basically we upgraded to a GM coolant sensor that will basically communicate with the Mega Squirt way better. The stock coolant sensor worked, but it wasn't super accurate. So now the GM sensor will actually talk to the Mega Squirt, tell it the exact temperature, and we can base a lot of the tune off of that more properly. As well as I will leave that coolant sensor or a link to it down in the description below if you'd like to do that modification. And we used a 9/16 drill bit. What you working on, bud?
I'm rewiring something, wires that melted, bud.
It's a boosted Mazda 3.
Not a speed 3.
Not a speed 3. Alright, so as you guys can see, the RX-7's back up on the lift. So our next task is to take the header off and replace it with a new higher flow header. Basically, RX-7s come from the factory with something called a thermal reactor. It's to help the exhaust burn hotter, so then the emissions out the tailpipe are cleaner, so it like burns everything more thoroughly. Well, that means you have a hot air box sitting next to the engine, and heat, as we know, is not great. So we're going to be taking that off. Mike has an old 12A exhaust that we're actually going to modify to then fit onto the 13B. Don't let the clothes fool you. It's actually a different day. It's like 10:30 a.m. But I haven't showered, so I'm wearing a hat. So yeah, let's get cracking on the exhaust. Hopefully we'll finish that up today, and then trans and whatever else. Everything else.
Windshield list.
20B. Alright, what's your forecast?
It's raining.
Alright, so this is the thermal reactor. This is what we pulled off. This was the header on the stock S4 RX-7. And it's garbage. Alright, so in case anyone wanted to know what the exhaust ports look like on an NA13B, here they are. So basically I'm just scraping the old gaskets off so the new gasket will seat properly. Speaking of which, this is the old gasket and this is the new one. Huge difference, obviously. You could see around the edges here I was having a lot of exhaust leaks. That'll affect not only the tune but efficiency of the car, everything. So this alone will basically add horsepower. We're gonna take a little break from the RX-7 for a second, and we're gonna hoon Steen's Miata that's missing a front end.
AC13 in the house though.
AC13, baby!
Subscribe!
Heck yeah. All right, so Steen's gonna take the boat Miata on the rally course. Let's go, baby!
Let's go, baby!
Any last words? How was that?
Oh, that was sick. We actually went a little slower in your run.
Wow.
Because I was in second for that one. I was in first.
Wow.
The entire thing was sideways. Hell yeah.
You jammed a rock in between the wheel and the tire.
That's safe.
Yeah, safety first, kids. That's Jesus. So guys, that's the header install on the RX-7. It sounds a little bit different, a little bit higher pitched, a lot more rotary-like. And so the header, we're not sure what kind of header it is. We actually discovered that it used to be a 13B header that was shortened to a 12A header and is now spaced out to be a 13B header again. So that's all said and done, and I would do a flyby, I would do a two-step, but there's a little issue with the car. I noticed the rear suspension squeaking a little while back, and I thought it was a shock absorber going bad, whatever. And as Mike was tuning it, because that's the reason it's here at Red Mist, as Mike was tuning it, he went to go tighten up the shock for me, and he noticed that part of the car was kind of hanging off. Part of the suspension had actually rusted through, and I'll show the video that he sent, because that's the best video of it. So we're gonna try our best to patch weld that up. That'll be the next video. But I wanted to get this video out because that video probably won't be out for a while. So we still have to do the trans, but in this video we got the coolant sensor done, the belt, and the header on, which has been awesome. Alright, so I don't want to end the video on such a sad note. I know it's not the best news to hear about the RX-7, but I promise you guys this series will continue. Whether we fix that RX-7, we're going to do everything in our power to fix Rose. If not, we'll pull the engine and transmission out. We'll pull the wheels off. We'll pull everything we put into that car out. We'll get a new shell, and we'll start from scratch. There, we'll put the 13B into that and all that stuff. This stuff will go on. The reason I'm filming all that and telling you guys, and I didn't just patch up the suspension on my own, is that this is Rotary life. This is what happens in life. Stuff comes, stuff goes, stuff breaks. Sometimes it's not that great. Sometimes owning an RX-7 sucks. Sometimes owning an RX-7 is great. But you have to remember the great memories that I have with the car, the great times I've had with the car, have severely outweighed the negative times. This is just one of those negative times. Now, to end off this video, if you read the title, I don't know if I put it in the title, I haven't titled it yet, but my friend Flav, who actually used to own the Rose, he used to own Rose back in 2008, I interviewed him for a documentary, and after we were done, he had a bunch of first-gen parts laying around. So I'm going to get them out of the car here because they've been taking up my back seat, and I'm going to show you some of the cool things that I got. First up, this is the bottom wind deflector for the FB, kind of sits like this. Really hard. I've been struggling to find these mint, and this one is crack-free, could just use a little bit of washing. That's really cool. This is a box of a ton of goodies, including the shifter bezel thing, a rear view mirror, a headlight, some different seat belts, the little coin pocket thing that goes up by the shifter, and there's a headlight motor in there, glove box door, little vent by the driver's door. This is the rear fabric that goes inside the hatch, a leather carrying case or cover for the glass sunroof that I don't yet have, but hopefully will soon obtain. Yeah, radiator cover, as you guys might remember, mine's pretty rusty. This one has a little bit of rust, but not nearly the amount that mine had. So we're going to clean this up and probably throw this on the car as well. An extra rear bin, a whole rear interior corner piece, a blower motor for behind the dash, gauge shroud for the gauges. Now, we were both puzzled. We don't know what this is. It has the red from the RX-7 interior, but it looks like you fill it up with something. We have no idea what this is. If you know what this is, please leave a comment. Both headlight shrouds, as well as the headlight switch, hazard button, defroster, and rear wiper buttons that go on either side of the gauges. And last but not least, a driver's side window and an OEM spare tire. So that's where I'm going to leave this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I love the new exhaust. The car is running great. But as you guys saw, we do have that suspension issue. So the next video will be about the suspension. We're not going to let that go on any further. And while it is unfortunate news, worst case scenario, the worst possible scenario is that we have to wait a couple months, maybe even up to a year, to find a new shell and put the current 13B exhaust, transmission, the Diamond Racing Steelies, tires, everything, the Mega Squared ECU, everything from Rose into a new shell. That's the worst case scenario, but I promise you guys, we are going to try our absolute hardest to save Rose. Mike thinks we can, but of course I have my doubts, as I always do. Thanks again to Mike for welding up the exhaust and noticing the actual cause of the squeaking noise, which was the suspension failure. Thank you, Matt, for letting me use your tools. And thank you to Atkins Rotary for helping me with the pulley, that new pulley that we put on there. I know that seems like such a minuscule part of the video, but the coolant seals, or the water pump housing seals, the new belt for the car, and all that stuff came from Atkins. And thank you guys so much for supporting the show. It really means a lot. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.
There goes a sight from my soul.